Hey guys, how's it going? As you saw in that clip, I won Camp Nanowrimo and I feel so good. I decided not to do a writing vlog for my last week because I lost the footage from one of the days, and then one of the days my camera was dead so I didn't vlog and it just would have been a mess. So instead I'm going to just talk about what I learned and basically what I learned pantsing and what I think and what I'm gonna do going forward. So what did I learn pantsing? First of all, let's start off with the negatives just to get them out of the way. I learned that I need to do world building before I write my novel. Now, this obviously isn't going to come into play if I wasn't writing a fantasy or if I was writing something that took place in our world, but I definitely learned that I need to have at least a somewhat solid idea of my world before I start writing. I had so much trouble with consistency because I couldn't have the world in my head, and I would start writing a scene and realize, ooh, this doesn't make sense for the type of village that they're in. And then I'd go to something else and realize, ooh, I don't actually know like what technology they have, so I don't know if this makes sense. And then there were so many times that I got stuck because I didn't know what the world was. So I definitely think that I'm the kind of person that needs to do world building ahead of time. Honestly, I'm not sure how pantsers do that. Like, I don't understand it. I'd be super curious to know and to hear from an actual pantser how they do world building, what their techniques are, all of that. And I just want to say that I know that I'm doing a very extreme form of pantsing. I know that most pantsers have a general idea, and I went into this doing a very extreme form of pantsing. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, but I'm a go big or go home kind of person. So yeah, I learned that I need to have my world in my head before I start writing. I also learned that I need to know the ending for my story, or at least major plot points towards the ending. Basically, I need to know what direction I'm going in. I realized when I was writing this that sometimes when I would get stuck, I just felt like lost and directionless and just really unmotivated because I didn't know what I was working towards, what my characters were working towards, and where the story was going. I'm not saying I would necessarily need to know every single little detail about the ending, but I don't know, I need to know my destination so that I can write to get there, because otherwise it does not work for me. So those are the reasons why I would not pants, and those are the things that I would not pants. But now let's talk about some things that I was surprised to learn that I could actually incorporate into my writing and make me a better writer. First of all, you'll probably be able to guess this if you watched my vlogs. I learned that I really like pantsing dialogue. I know that a lot of the stuff I wrote was kind of messy and it's gonna have to be worked into revisions, but I don't know, I just found it so much more natural and easy. And a huge thing that I realized when I was reading through my document is that each character's voice really shone through a lot stronger than they usually do, and I usually struggle with that. I know where the conversations need to go, and I think that I kind of write what the characters need to say more than what the characters would be saying, if that makes sense. Like, usually it takes me a couple drafts to really have the characters' voices down and for each line of dialogue to really feel like that character said it, but for this it came so much more naturally. So I definitely think that going forward, I would know the general direction the conversation needs to take, but I would definitely pants it a lot better. And if it goes off track, that's something I can work on in revisions. Which brings me to my next positive point. This really helped me get in the right mindset of a first draft. I put a lot of pressure on myself when I'm writing, even with my first draft, to have it good and polished, and I don't know, I definitely struggle with that. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I think that I kind of focus too much on the quality of the first draft. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I kind of focus on it to the point that it's a negative. But by doing this experiment, it really helped me get into the mindset of fix it in draft 2, which was huge for me. And I really think that now that it's kind of in my head, and I've already kind of learned that mindset and have practiced some of these skills, I think that going forward, this is going to be a huge help to me. The third thing that I really liked and will probably use in my future projects is my rolling a d10 10-sided die for, on a scale of 1 to 10, how does blank go. I think that I would do it more for like subplots and minor things, not major important things, but it was just so much fun. This was actually something I did in my last camp vlog. I ended up rolling a 9 for the meal they were having and had this big long scene about what they were eating, and I ended up rolling a 1 when Fief was trying to learn magic and it just failed horribly. So I definitely think that I would like to kind of try that going forward and just see what happens. The next two are things that I learned and liked, but I would tweak them. First of all, I really liked all the randomized generators and all the cool things it came up with, but I think that I would only use it when I got stuck or maybe in a more structured way. Like, as far as coming up with names and like basic descriptions, I found it was helpful, but some things really derailed my plot, which was fun because it was a pantsing project and that was kind of the point of it. But I think that if I was writing something that I was more serious about, I don't think that it would have gone so well. But I think it would be a really fun idea if my story was like feeling a little bit flat or like the sagging middle, throwing in a randomized generator just to spice things up. I think I'm gonna try that. And the last thing that I think I would like to incorporate into my writing is that I think I would enjoy doing like the randomizations and stuff for a short story, but for a novel length project, I think it gets a little bit too much for me. I mentioned in my 2019 writing goals that I would like to try some more short stories, so I think that I would try similar things to this with my short stories, because one of my issues with short stories, how many times can I say short stories? One of my issues I have is that I put the same amount of plotting time and outlining and stuff into a short story as I do for a novel. And I put a lot of time into my novels. So I definitely overplan my short stories and they end up just being so long. So I think that having a more pantsing approach to those would kind of work really well for me. So I'm not jumping into short stories yet. I have a couple of the projects that I want to get to first, but I definitely think I want to keep that in mind when the time comes. So overall, I think my kind of perfect pantsing and plotting mix would be to have a basic story idea, whether that's one I came up with on my own or something I picked out of a generator, and then maybe throw in a couple more elements to that, maybe with other generators or other things that I think would kind of fit with it, and then plan based off of that. I like the cool ideas and kind of weird nudges that the generators and randomizations take, but I think for me, I still need to plot it and have at least a basic outline of where I'm going so that I can actually write it and finish the project, etc. So I think that would be kind of the perfect role for me. And then like I said, I like pantsing dialogue, and when I get stuck, maybe like a little generator or rolling a 10-sided die, but I think that would work best for me. So I definitely feel like I understand pantsers a little bit better, and I think that I definitely did learn things that I can incorporate into my own writing and have really helped me grow as a writer. But I am still a huge plotter at heart, and this kind of solidified that for me as well, like knowing that, okay, this really is how I need to write and what works best for me. And that's the thing with writing, is you have to find what works best for you, because there is a million different ways to write. And a million's probably an understatement. There's probably gazillions of different ways to write and different techniques and different you should do this and you shouldn't do this and all those things, but everybody is so different, everybody's brain works so different, everybody gets motivated differently. So I really definitely recommend finding out where it works for you, and if you have to do something way out of your comfort zone, like a hardcore pantsing experiment, to see and to kind of solidify what you do like and add things that maybe could work, I recommend it. I think this was such a fun project. I am so glad that I did it. I might finish the story one day, but I'm definitely gonna set it aside for a little bit. I'm probably gonna post a video maybe next week or the week after about what's next as far as my writing goes, but I don't know, I thought that this went really, really well. I definitely think the story is kind of cool, and I might take different elements from the story and make them into different projects later on, but I definitely learned so much and I came up with so many cool things, and I really do think this helped me grow as a writer, and that was the goal. So goal accomplished, camp accomplished. April was great. If you guys enjoyed this video and liked following along on this weird pantsing project, click the like button to let me know, and let me know how your Nanowrimo went and what kind of works for you as a writer, things you've learned. Let's just talk about all the things. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on whatever I do going forward and see what comes next. So I hope to see you guys next time, and until then, have a great day. Bye!